Power is never a gift in nature. There is no ceremony, no blessing, no inheritance guaranteed by blood alone. In Tsavo, the crown does not shine. It burns. Here, power exists only as long as it can be enforced. The moment it weakens, it is taken. The moment it hesitates, it disappears. Nature does not recognize kings. It recognizes outcomes. The lions of Tsavo are born into a land that rejects symbols. The dust is red, the heat relentless, and survival strips away every illusion of grandeur. What remains is not royalty, but biology. Muscle, hormones, endurance, adaptation. Cubs play in the shade, unaware that training is not preparation for glory, but for exile. Joy is temporary. Affection is conditional. In this land, even parents are agents of the law. When the time comes, the young will be driven away, not out of cruelty, but necessity. A male lion cannot stay. To remain is to threaten the balance. To leave is to accept the trial. Solitude becomes a weapon. Hunger becomes discipline. Every step into unknown territory is a negotiation with death. This is how the crown is forged in Tsavo, not through inheritance, but through survival. Someone will fall. Someone will surrender. Someone will vanish into the dust without a trace. This cycle has repeated for millions of years, long before memory, long before names. It does not require witnesses. It does not demand belief. It simply continues. Tsavo is not a kingdom. It is a proving ground, and the law here is silent. Tsavo is not built to honor kings. It dismantles them. This land burns under constant pressure. Heat, dust, scarcity. The red soil absorbs everything, including weakness. Here, the traditional symbols of dominance lose their meaning. What works elsewhere becomes a liability. In most of Africa, the main is power, a declaration, a shield, a warning. In Tsavo, it is a sentence. Thick hair traps heat. Parasites thrive. Energy drains faster under the sun. What once signaled dominance now accelerates exhaustion. The land exposes vanity with ruthless efficiency. The lions of Tsavo adapted, or they disappeared. Males without manes began to rise. Not by chance, but by biology. Higher testosterone, stronger immune systems. Bodies optimized for heat, not display. In this crucible, survival favors function over appearance. The old hierarchy did not collapse overnight. It eroded. Respect faded before violence began. No challengers rushed forward. No dramatic overthrow followed. The shift was quieter than that. A glance held too long. A step not given way. A warning ignored. Power was already changing hands before blood ever touched the dust. The maned kings sensed it, not consciously but through instinct. The balance had moved. The land no longer worked for them. Tsavo had chosen differently. Here, nature does not announce its decisions. It enforces them. And in Tsavo, the crown is no longer worn on the head. It is carried in the blood. In Tsavo, power does not disappear. It mutates. For generations, the mane defined authority. It was the crown of the lion visible from a distance, impossible to ignore. It intimidated rivals and reassured allies. But Tsavo does not reward visibility. It rewards endurance. The sun is merciless, the heat constant. Every unnecessary burden becomes a weakness. The mane, once a shield of dominance, now slows recovery, traps heat, and drains energy. In a land where survival is decided hour by hour, this is not symbolism. It is biology. The maneless males do not announce themselves. They do not posture. They endure. Their bodies recover faster. Their hormones run higher. Their immune systems resist infection better in wounds that never fully heal under Tsavo's dust. This advantage does not create respect. It creates imbalance. The native kings feel it first, not through defeat, but through hesitation around them. Subtle shifts in behavior spread through the pride. The space once granted by instinct is no longer automatic. Dominance must be reinforced more often. Challenges arrive sooner, No lion has fallen yet, but authority is already eroding. The maned kings are still alive, still strong, still dangerous. But Tsavo no longer favors them. The land has rewritten the rules, and adaptation, not legacy, now determines survival. Power does not need permission to change. It only needs opportunity. And in Tsavo, opportunity is everywhere. In Tsavo, power is not claimed. It is tested. Respect does not come from posture or presence. It comes from risk. And risk must be visible. The land demands proof. And proof is measured in blood. The new contenders do not target the weak. That would mean nothing. Their message must travel across the dust, carried by scent and silence. The target is chosen carefully. The Cape Buffalo, a moving fortress, up to 700 kilograms of muscle, bone, and horn. A single charge can end a lion in seconds. This is not hunting for food. This is a declaration. Buffalo are responsible for more serious injuries to lions than almost any other prey. A solitary lion has little chance of escaping unscathed. But unity alters probability. Together, the odds shift. Together, survival becomes possible. The lionesses are the core of this calculation. They are precision, timing, discipline. While the males commit to presence and pressure, the females execute the strategy that decides the outcome. When the buffalo falls, the dust turns dark. The scent of fresh blood cuts through Tsavo's heat. It does not repel. It announces. The message spreads without sound. A new order has arrived. The crown is not worn. It is earned. And in Tsavo, no one mistakes what that means. Winning power is only the beginning. Keeping it is harder. In Tsavo, dominance is not sustained by constant violence. It is maintained through balance. Every role inside the pride exists for a reason, and failure in any one of them weakens the whole structure. The males patrol. They watch. They absorb threats before they reach the center. The lionesses hunt, not with spectacle, but with efficiency. Hunger humiliates faster than defeat, and a ruler that cannot feed his pride is already losing ground. Energy must be preserved. Injuries must be avoided. Survival favors calculation. The zebra becomes the target, around 300 kilograms of muscle and endurance. Dangerous enough to demand coordination, yet manageable enough to limit risk. Its value is not symbolic. It is practical. One successful kill sustains the entire group, but the hunt exposes limits. The lioness's heart is small relative to her body. She cannot sustain long chases. Endurance is not her weapon. Precision is. A sudden separation in the herd is all it takes. One misstep. One lagging body. The grip closes around the throat. Air disappears. Resistance fades. Feeding follows quickly. Lions digest fast. Within 1 to 2 days, the advantage of abundance disappears. Hunger returns. It always does. In Tsavo, power must be renewed constantly. A crown that rests is already decaying. In Tsavo, ambition does not disappear. It escalates. Once stability is secured, the gaze shifts upward to larger prey. Greater reward, higher risk. Hunger is no longer the only motivator. Dominance seeks confirmation. Power looks for proof that it can go further. The target rises above the plain. The giraffe, up to 5 meters tall. A towering mass balanced on fragile legs. One kick can crush a lion's skull instantly. This is not recklessness. It is calculation shaped by physics. The giraffe survives by height, by reach, by vigilance. But size creates its own vulnerability. The higher the body, the harder the heart must work. Blood is pushed upward against gravity under extreme pressure. When pursued, the heart accelerates. Pressure spikes. Exhaustion follows. The lions understand this without theory. They wait. They press. They force motion. The goal is not speed, it is collapse. When the giraffe stumbles, the attack is precise. Soft tissue is exposed. The thick skin tears where it must. The body fails before resistance ends. The fall is violent. The dust rises. The scent travels. Scavengers begin to gather long before the feeding ends. This victory is not celebrated. It is absorbed. Another limit tested. Another boundary crossed. But the cost is always present. Every high-risk success narrows the margin for error. In Tsavo, ambition is tolerated only when it respects biology. Ignore that law, and power collapses under its own weight. Tsavo is not ruled by lions alone. Power here is fragmented. It exists in layers, each enforced by different laws. Some challengers do not seek a throne. They simply refuse to submit. The warthog survives through efficiency, compact muscle, thick skin, moderate speed. Active under the same brutal heat, it does not dominate territory, but it knows how to endure it. Burrows offer escape routes, multiple exits. A mistake at the threshold decides everything. One precise bite to the neck, delivered at the moment the head emerges. And the law is enforced without pursuit. But Tsavo does not rely on a single test. Water introduces another authority. The Nile crocodile does not compete for land. It waits. After intense hunts, the lions approach the river to cool their bodies, sometimes to quiet hunger. The water appears passive. It is not. A bite exceeding 20,000 newtons ends resistance instantly. If the crocodile remains submerged, the lion has almost no chance. Fur becomes weight. Agility disappears. Even kings hesitate here. Yet these predators coexist not by trust, but by recognition. Each understands the other's domain. Boundaries are rarely crossed without consequence. Elephants do not recognize lions as equals. Young males, charged with hormones and confidence, move without caution. They do not bow. When confrontation occurs, lions adapt. If the giant cannot be brought down, the focus shifts. The next generation becomes the target. Biology dictates the choice, not malice. Tsavo is a network of power centers, some visible, some silent. The crown is only one expression of authority. Survival is the real currency. Tsavo does not need enemies to destroy a kingdom. Time and scarcity are enough. When the dry season stretches longer than expected, the land tightens its grip. Heat intensifies. Water retreats. Prey thins. Inside the pride, chemistry begins to change. Cortisol rise. Stress fractures social bonds. Tolerance fades. Hunger erases hierarchy faster than violence. Disputes emerge over remains that would once have been ignored. A carcass becomes a point of tension, not unity. Even a weak, aging warthog, thin, slow, nearly finished, can provoke conflict. An empty stomach strips meaning from the crown. Power cannot be eaten. When strength fails to deliver food, authority dissolves. The pride does not rebel. It simply stops believing. Eyes no longer lower. Space is no longer given. Respect vanishes before dominance does. This is the most dangerous phase of rule. Not invasion, not challenge, but exposure. The lions attempt distraction. Old strategies resurface. They probe burrows, test exits, force movement. But prey adapts too. Multiple escape routes turn traps into failures. Each missed opportunity deepens the deficit. In Tsavo, humiliation precedes collapse. When the land offers nothing, even kings are reduced to waiting. And waiting, under hunger, accelerates decay. Power in Tsavo does not end in death. It ends in removal. When the balance shifts, the sentence is delivered without ceremony. At around 3 years of age, the young males receive no warning, no preparation, no second chance. The pride turns on them, not with rage, but with certainty. Exile is not punishment. It is regulation. Bloodlines cannot stagnate. Familiar genes weaken the future. To preserve strength, the sons must leave. Their survival elsewhere becomes proof of worth. Their failure is irrelevant to the system. The exiles drift close to the edges of their birthplace. Not out of defiance, but necessity. They know this land. They know its rhythms. And they know who still rules it. They wait. Time does its work. The old kings slow. Scars accumulate. Reactions dull. What once inspired fear now signals decline. Even the lionesses sense the shift not for themselves, but for the hidden lives pressed against their bodies. When the moment arrives, it is brief. Resistance is ineffective. Age cannot outpace momentum. What once held the throne is overwhelmed not by strategy, but by inevitability. The past yields to the present. The next act is immediate. The cubs of the fallen rulers are eliminated, not out of cruelty, but efficiency. Nursing halts ovulation. Removing the young resets the cycle. Hormones change. Reproduction resumes. New blood enters the system within weeks. This is how selfish genes persist, not through mercy, but through continuity. Soon, new cubs appear. For a moment, Tsavo grows quiet again. Care replaces conflict. The pride stabilizes, but the law has not changed. It has only been satisfied. Tsavo does not revolve around a single crown. It never has. The fall and rise of kings barely disturb the larger system. Beyond the pride's territory, the land continues to enforce its rules without pause. Survival unfolds simultaneously on multiple fronts, each governed by a different constraint. Rivers carve their own boundaries. Water dictates authority. The Nile crocodile remains motionless beneath the surface, older than any dynasty. Its power is not announced. It is inherited through anatomy refined over millions of years. Lungs built for patience, jaws engineered for finality. When opportunity presents itself, the result is immediate and irreversible. Herbivores respond not with dominance, but with structure. Buffalo form defensive rings. The weak are pushed inward, horns face outward. Unity becomes armor. No individual seeks glory. Survival is collective, or it does not occur at all. Elsewhere, endurance replaces force. Hyenas do not rule by intimidation. They rule by persistence. Hearts built for distance. Muscles designed for repetition. They turn every chase into a calculation of exhaustion. Even the strongest prey eventually collapses under sustained pressure. Speed chooses a different compromise. The cheetah trades protection for acceleration. Its body sacrifices strength, defense, and stamina for seconds of extreme output. Every successful hunt leaves it exposed. Victory must be consumed quickly or surrendered. No strategy is superior. Each carries a cost. Predators, scavengers, and prey all occupy precise roles. Remove one, and the structure destabilizes. The land does not favor balance out of principle. Balance is simply the result of competing limitations. The throne matters only within a narrow boundary. The ecosystem does not recognize titles. In Tsavo, power is contextual, and context is everything. For millions of years, Tsavo functioned without witnesses. The law was absolute. Correction came through hunger, injury, and death. Then another force entered the system. Human presence does not replace nature's law. It alters the margins. Water points appear where rivers once retreated. Barriers redirect movement. Patrols interrupt cycles that once ended only through extinction. The lions do not understand intention. They respond to outcome. Artificial water reduces migration. Prey remains longer. Pressure concentrates. Conflict intensifies within smaller territories. What was once spread across distance now collides in place. Some deaths are delayed, others are accelerated. Conservation stabilizes numbers, not hierarchy. It preserves bodies, not dominance. The struggle for control inside the pride remains untouched. Exile still happens. Infanticide still resets reproduction. Stress still dismantles cohesion. The law adapts, but it does not dissolve. Human presence introduces observation, not judgment. Cameras record. Drones follow. Statistics replace silence. Yet the decisions unfolding in the dust remain biological, not moral. Tsavo continues to function as it always has, with one difference. The system is now watched. And being watched does not change the outcome. It only changes who remembers it. In Tsavo, nothing truly ends. It resets. The fall of one ruler does not create peace. It creates space. Fear fades. New confidence rises. The land absorbs the transition without reaction. Dust settles, tracks overlap. Silence returns. For a brief moment, stability appears. Cubs nurse, lionesses rest. The pride breathes again. But beneath this calm, the clock is already moving. Growth continues. Hormones rise. Muscles harden. Eyes sharpen. The future does not wait. The lions without manes lift their heads once more. The symbols that once defined Tsavo reclaim their place not through memory, but through adaptation. Dignity returns, not because it was taken, but because it fits the land. No ruler notices the beginning of the next decline. Age will arrive quietly. Strength will dull gradually. Reaction times will slow by fractions. Respect will fade before power does. And somewhere at the edge of the territory, new silhouettes will watch and wait. They always do. Tsavo does not remember kings. It remembers patterns. What survives here is not dominance, not lineage, not reputation, but alignment with the law that never speaks and never changes. The crown will fall again. The dust will rise again. And the cycle will continue. Because in Tsavo, the law is not enforced by force. It is enforced by time. And time never loses.